Well, hello again, everybody. It's now time to get down to the classroom content for our first week. This video will cover the first hour of the first class for week one. So you should be able to receive the file, the Microsoft Word file that I have here on the desktop of my computer. We can have a look at this. Okay, so the first hour we want to concentrate on the necessary language that you should know in order to facilitate your learning in English. Excuse me, my voice is still not very good. So we're looking at target classroom language. So this is the language we use when we're talking about learning English. Right? It's very important that you're able to use this language quite confidently. And there's just a few simple points I want to draw out about this language. I'll get you to review this file as part of your work for this week, right? And I want you to try to start to put these expressions into your mind and memorize them if you could. So these expressions also talk around the way you talk to me for clarification during a class, and also talking together to your classmates. So we call this teacher talk and student talk. And it also appears in the textbook on page 23 in the appendix at the front. Okay, so down to the expressions, if we have a look here, these are the target expressions that I want you to try to be very familiar to using for when it comes around for us to work together offline in the classroom. Okay, the first one here is, can you say that one more time, please? So as opposed to other usual expressions to check the meaning or check what was said before, this is a better expression, I feel, to use to speak. So can you say that one more time, please, is important because there's many other expressions that Korean language learners or English language learners naturally try to say, like what, or what did you say, or can you repeat that, or can you say that again? But I don't think that's the best form to model really at this kind of level. We have to remember and bear in mind that in English, short speaking is much ruder, and the first rule of speaking polite English is speaking longer sentences. So can you say that one more time, please, is a longer utterance, but it's more polite, and the pattern is important in English as well. Remember, to avoid using the monotone intonation, we don't say, can you say that one more time, please? But English has a natural drive and rhythm. Can you say that one more time, please? And the meaning is also in that intonation as well. So it's important for you to practice and model that kind of intonation. Can you say that one more time, please? Now, also, when in English, when children don't understand what adults have said, and also students in the classroom, right, we ask students to model the second expression that you see here now. I beg your pardon. So I beg your pardon is say that again, please. But it's much politer and much more natural, I think, to say in English, I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. So these kind of two expressions will be the first ones that you learn that will check if you understood what was being said. Even if you understand what was being said, but you want to check one more time, I'd ask you to use these expressions. Can you say that one more time, please? I beg your pardon. Very natural and is, I think, a good model for English speakers to use. Okay, I added another one here as well. Excuse me, can you repeat that, please? Which is also a good model as well. So just to give you some ways to speak around trying to say the same thing in English. So especially if you've lost someone's attention, excuse me to get their attention again. Can you repeat that, please? Can you say that one more time, please? So the first three expressions are going to be the basic ones that you need to use in the classroom. Now, moving on, to the fourth expression we have here. This is good to when you can't think of the word that you want to say in English, or you don't know the target vocabulary. There's a word or a meaning you're thinking of in Korean or in your own language that you don't know how to say in English. So this is when you can use a little bit of Korean mixed with English. How do you say gosumdochi in English would be a question. Gosumdochi. That's hedgehog. Hedgehog. Can you say that one more time, please? Hedgehog. That's how I say gosumdochi in English. Okay, so this kind of dialogue is what we start to build in this first hour, this kind of comprehension checking dialogue, so we understand more about our own English learning. Another way to say that is, what does that word mean? So asking for clarification of the word. So if in class we're talking about hedgehog, what does that word mean? What does hedgehog mean? We can explain in English. It's a small animal. It has spiky on its back. Sometimes children keep them as pet. But sometimes it's also easier to say, hedgehog is gosumdochi, and go, yeah, I know now, hedgehog is gosumdochi. So that you can also ask for the clarification and change the question. What does the word mean in Korean? Right? How do you say 두런영 in English? That is axolotl. And also, because part of the content of our class is reading the textbook and looking at expressions, we will come up with unfamiliar words as we're going along in the textbook. So you may not know how to say them even if you can read the word or you can understand the meaning. So the last questions come to ask about vocabulary checking questions. How do you pronounce this word? Could you explain a little bit more about that? So these list of expressions that are presented here, I really want you to put them down to memory, and I want you to practice them for yourself. I want you to spend some time this week, you can print out or cut out this little list or write it down, and I want you to start putting these expressions and practicing them in your head, because these are kind of the basic level, the basic outcomes. Even when it comes to our assessment and you're speaking in the group, demonstrating these expressions when checking what other students are saying, it will be very helpful to drive to the end of your speaking tests. Can you say that one more time, please? I beg your pardon. Could you explain a little bit more about that? Especially later in the semester when we get into talking about hobbies or favorites or what kind of food do you like. We need to ask for more information from our classmates to drive the conversation. Could you explain a little bit more about that? Is a kind of good question that will carry that along. Okay, so at the end of this little paper here, I've included another good little video from a friend of mine, Adam, so which you can, and I've included the YouTube link here as well. Oops, and I've got a spelling mistake in there. We'll fix that one up. So, after you've listened to this video and you've had a little practice of these expressions, check the textbook, right? Read through this paper I've given you again, familiarize yourself with these expressions, and then go and watch this little YouTube video that Adam has produced as well. And that should take you through to the first hour of our class this week. This video with me, reading through the work, 10 minutes or 15 minutes working through the expression, and the last little 10 minutes watching Adam's video. I hope you enjoy, and if you have any questions or you want some things or you can't understand what I'm saying in this video, please write a little comment or ask me on Kakao and I will clear it up for you.